If you find it difficult to influence a room of people, to get them to a decision point, or perhaps even in a one-on-one conversation, and maybe you're challenged by what is perceived to be difficult characters or maybe even difficult egos in the room, I want to share with you a technique that I teach with my client group, it's around actually creating a higher level of influence so that your ideas get traction, you feel seen and heard, and your ideas feel valued, you feel valued. And actually you can start to make some progress in the direction that you really want in your career and really make an impact that matters to you and means something to you. I call this technique the sandpit model because, let's face it feels sometimes like we're all kids just playing in the sandpit together. So imagine you go into the sandpit, right? And the person or the people that you want to influence is up the other end of the sandpit, and you're down your end of the sandpit. And each of you have got your own ideas. And I represent these like sandcastles, right? Like you've built this amazing sandcastle and your idea is just epic, and you've put all this effort into it. And you know that, this sandcastle is going to stand the test of time. It's got all these bells and whistles. But the group or the person you're trying to influence is standing up their end of the sandpit, and they too have a sandcastle or an idea of a sandcastle or whatever it is, and they really believe that their sandcastle's the best. They've put their effort into it, or they've got their mind fixed on how it should be, right? And so these two people are standing at either end of the sandpit saying, no, but mine's the best. No, mine's the best. Sometimes it feels like kids in a sandpit, so that's why I call it the sandpit model. But each of you is standing from your own perspective, really valuing your own idea, or your own set of ideas about which direction you should go forward on. And I like to suggest is that to people that you really all need to understand every single person in that room, in that sandpit, wants to feel seen and heard and that they matter, right? Some more than others. But essentially, we're all humans. No one ever graduates from being human, right? So we all have this innate need to be seen and heard, and that we matter, or that we're valued, or that we're important or significant. We'll interchange whatever word represents the best one for you. So the way to get someone to hear you, to really listen to you and be curious about your ideas, is for you to take the first step, right? For you to stop demanding or telling people that your idea is the best and presenting your ideas, and actually go over to their side of the sandpit and ask them questions about their ideas and where they're coming from and what their perspective is and how they generate it. And if you can see holes in it, rather than tell them you've got holes in it, then perhaps you should be able to say to them that you ask questions that will elicit their light bulb moment, that they perhaps can see some holes in their thinking or their way of representing what's the best idea going forward, right? So it's really important to not be telling people, because when you tell someone, especially strong characters, the shutters come down, right? They don't want to hear you telling them. They certainly don't want to hear you telling them in front of a room full of people. So it's really important to be curious. So bring your attention over to their side of the sandpit and put your attention through a line of questioning, curious questioning, right? Really genuine, authentic questions that puts your energy into a state of genuine attention for them, right? What you're doing in this moment is actually seeing them, hearing them, and valuing them, so they feel seen and heard and valued, right? And keep asking the questions until you've exhausted it all and they've got a position of feeling, okay, well, I've been seen, I've been heard, I feel like I've expressed all that I want to share about my idea. And once you get to that point in the conversation, you can then use what I call the permission frame, which is then be able to say, hey, what you've shared, I can really see some value in that, some insights, and maybe share some insights about what you've heard and seen from them. And ask them, do you mind if I share some ideas that maybe can build on that or might show you a different perspective? And wait for them to say yes, right? You can't just jump in and tell them your ideas. You've got to wait for them to say yes, because what that does at a subconscious level is confirms to them that they're now open to hearing other ideas. And when they say yes, then you can invite them over to your end of the sandpit and go, hey, this is all the great things or the insights or the other ideas or whatever, and then open up a conversation. And in asking them about their ideas and you sharing your ideas, a really important thing to establish is common purpose. If you don't have a common purpose or a common end result that you're aiming for, then you're going to be negotiating or trying to influence in a direction that person is never going to go in. So establishing that you have a common direction, a common purpose, a common end result that you're aiming for. And then through that line of questioning, using that sandpit model to open up the conversation, make them feel seen and heard and that they matter, and then invite them over to your end of the sandpit so that you can then feel seen and heard and that you matter. And then get the ball rolling from there in terms of negotiations or an agreed way forward. I trust this serves.